When you're not sure what to make for dinner or even lunch, grab any vegetables that you have in your refrigerator. You just need some seasonings, water, and some lentils, and you can make a delicious vegetable lentil soup, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food, and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is very simple. It is a soup. It is a soup that is ready in about 20 minutes. It has so much flavor. It's extremely healthy, and it's made just with vegetables that you have on hand, okay? So let me get right into it. First thing we're gonna do is put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil or avocado oil or whatever oil you want to use in the bottom of the Ninja Foodi, or any pressure cooker will work, okay? We're gonna use pressure cook for this because we wanna get it done really fast. And go ahead and turn the sear saute on high, and that's fine. Let the oil heat up, and then we're gonna saute some vegetables. Now, I have a red onion. I'm gonna use half to saute right now, and I'm gonna add the other half later down the road so that they all don't get too soft. That's a texture thing. It's totally up to you. You could add them all in now if you like softer onions. You don't have to use a red onion. You can use a yellow onion, a sweet onion, any kind of onion. If you don't like onion, skip it. It's gonna be just fine. And I have 1 carrot that I have diced up fairly small, and 1 celery stalk that I have diced up fairly small. This is going to create the base flavor for our soup. So we're going to saute them for about 5 minutes with the lentils as soon as the oil's heated up. All right, so I'm gonna add in the onions and these vegetables here. Then I'm also adding in some garlic. I like the way that tastes in the soup. That's totally optional. You don't have to use garlic. What I have here is about 6 cloves of garlic that I just smashed. That's all I'm gonna do because we're gonna be pressure cooking, and so they're gonna end up softening and really they'll be nice and mild in the soup. Now, if you like a really strong garlic flavor, mince them, okay, and saute them for a little bit. It's gonna give you a more pungent garlic flavor. Give this a stir around. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in my lentils. It's 3/4 cup of brown lentils. You could use any color lentil that you want though, that's fine. I think brown and green are the ones that are most common in the grocery stores, but whatever you have on hand would be fine. All right, let's talk about our seasoning blend. I'm using plain water for this recipe, so my seasonings are gonna seem like they're a bit much, but trust me, it works out perfectly. If you're gonna switch up water for a vegetable stock or even a chicken stock or even a beef stock you could use in this recipe, then you would probably wanna cut down on the salt a little bit and cut down on all the other seasonings, maybe by half, and then taste your soup at the end. But this has worked perfectly in my test recipes, so this is what I'm gonna use today. I have 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of fine grind sea salt, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 2 teaspoons of dried basil leaves, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And I'm gonna add those in right now. All right, so I'm gonna let that saute for about 5 minutes, and while that's happening, let's talk about the vegetables. Now, I'm not gonna put the vegetables in at this point. I'm gonna put in the water and we're gonna go under pressure to cook those lentils. The reason being is that it's a 5-minute pressure cook, and I don't want, although the mushrooms would probably be fine, but I don't want the onions to be too soft, I don't want the carrots to be too soft, or the celery, and definitely not the spinach, okay? Because that would turn to almost nothing in a 5-minute pressure cook time. So I like to do this in 2 stages. So I pressure cook to get the lentils done, and then I'll add everything else back in and add another minute to the pressure cook time, and it'll be perfect. However, this will change based on the types of vegetables that you're using. So let's say you have a head of cabbage and you want to add cabbage to your soup. Perfectly fine. Cut it into wedges or bite-sized pieces and go ahead and throw it in now, because 5 minutes for cabbage or even kale or collard greens is not gonna be too long, okay? But it is for something like spinach. So use whatever you want in your soup. Use whatever vegetables you want. But if you want to add potatoes, I would add them in now. If you want to add sweet potatoes, add those in now. Beets, definitely add them in now. If your potatoes are real small, you might add them in during the second pressure cook. All right, so that's good enough here. We don't want to burn anything. So let's go ahead and pressure cook these lentils to get them done. 4 cups of plain water here going in. And I do like to always sort of scrape around the bottom here and make sure that none of the stuff that we sauteed is stuck on the bottom. One more thing I almost forgot. Fire roasted tomatoes. 1 14.5 ounce can, or regular diced tomatoes is fine. Or if you don't like tomatoes, leave them out, perfectly fine. You could even put in some fresh tomatoes if you wanted, if you had some left over from your summer harvest or had some to use up. That's the beauty of this. You can use anything you like. All right, let's go ahead and put the pressure lid on. We are going to make sure the valve in the back is to the seal position. We're gonna go on pressure cook, and we wanna take our time down to 5 minutes. Hit that start button. We're gonna heat up this soup. It's gonna go under pressure. We're gonna pressure cook for 5 minutes and do an immediate release, then add in everything else, pressure cook for a real short period of time, and our soup is done. So we did a 5-minute pressure cook, an immediate release, and it took about 3 minutes, or just thereabout, for all the pressure to be released, all the steam to be released, and then the button is down now, so we can open up the lid. Always do that away from you because there's a lot of steam, especially with something like soup, a lot of steam. All right, it looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. All right, so let's go ahead and get in the rest of our ingredients. Well, except for the spinach. We're not gonna put that in right now because we don't wanna pressure cook our spinach. That would just be too much. So we're gonna add in the mushrooms. I'm gonna call these like the soup vegetables. So you could make them eat thicker if you wanted. Like I diced all the onion the same size, but you could make them in larger chunks if you wanted a chunkier type of soup. And the two stalks of celery and 2 small carrots go in. And that's it right now. So let's go ahead and just stir this around, and we're gonna put the pressure lid right back on, and we are going to pressure cook for 1 minute and do another immediate release. Make sure the valve is back to the seal position since we vented it. And sometimes when you go to put your lid on, I didn't have any trouble this time, but sometimes when you go to put your lid on for a second pressure cook and there's still steam there because the pot's still very hot, you might run into a little bit of resistance putting the lid on. But if you maneuver it, you'll get it on because that steam is pressing against the lid and you're trying to push it down, so it's creating this force against you. But I didn't have any trouble then, so hopefully you won't either. All right, 1 minute pressure cook and then an immediate release again. And then we just put our spinach in, stir it in, some celery leaves here, which I love to add as a garnish, and we're all done. All right, the pin has dropped. We can go ahead and open up the lid. All right, it'll be very, very steamy. Give it a nice stir. Look at that. It looks gorgeous. All right, now time to stir in our spinach. This is 4 cups of baby spinach. You could use anything you want. You could use, baby spinach, regular spinach, no spinach. You could even use frozen spinach if you wanted to. I would either thaw it or put it in frozen before this last 1 minute pressure cook. Now what I like to do is get all of the spinach underneath the soup. That's gonna wilt it, and then make a determination whether you want to add a little bit more broth to this. So if you want it a little bit thicker, keep it like it is right now. If you want it a little soupier, then add another cup of broth in. because I'm gonna be freezing this, I am not gonna add the extra liquid in right now. So it's gonna be a little bit thicker than maybe I would ordinarily serve it, but I think that's gonna work great for freezing. Look at that, quick, easy, beautiful vegetable lentil soup in about 20 minutes it took. All right, now I'm gonna add these in, and I just add them in and just stir them in, just like I did with the spinach, or you could top each individual bowl with them. That would be perfectly fine. And it just brings in another beautiful color to the soup and a little bit of flavor and a little bit of texture. There we go. We're all done. All right, so let me go ahead and scoop some out here and give it a taste. Oh my gosh, it looks gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that. It's so pretty. All right, I'm gonna let it cool off for a minute so I don't burn myself, and then I'll give it a taste and let you know if it needs any more seasonings. And that's something I really do encourage you to do. So before you go and serve this, give it a little taste and then add seasonings as desired. All right, let's go ahead and give it a taste here. I'm gonna taste just a little bit of the broth to see if I need any salt and pepper or anything else like that. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Wow. It's perfectly seasoned. Grab one of these mushrooms. Oh my goodness, it looks beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my gosh. It kind of reminds me of like a minestrone soup. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely delicious. Of course, it doesn't have the pasta, it has the lentils instead. So it's probably a little bit healthier for you than a minestrone. Oh my gosh, it is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely delicious. And although I kept mine vegetarian, you don't have to. If you wanted to put in some chicken, you certainly can. You can dice up some raw chicken before the first pressure cook time and go ahead and cook some chicken with it, or even some beef would be fine. So as always, make it yours, make it delicious, and keep it real.